Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita Sibili. Now, in our first story, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has suspended Parliament for 3 weeks over a surge in COVID-19 cases after 17 members of Parliament tested positive for the virus. More than 150 parliamentary staff have also tested positive. The closure of the House will not affect the vetting of ministers designate scheduled to begin later today. The Speaker observed that fumigation exercise will be conducted within offices of MPs and staff of Parliament during the break.
Honourable members, having regard to the upsurge of the coronavirus infection in the House, now reading 17 members of Parliament and 151 staff and ancillary workers in the presence of Parliament, and the fact that the Appointments Committee is yet to commence consideration of His Excellency the President's ministerial nominees, I have, in consultation with leadership, decided that the sitting of the House be suspended for 3 weeks. It is hoped that within this period of adjournment, the Appointments Committee will commence consideration and public hearing of the President's nominee for ministerial appointments. By the end of the 3 weeks, the Appointments Committee would have submitted reports on the referral for the consideration of the House. Accordingly, with the exception of honourable members of the Appointments Committee, the clerk to the committee, and other supporting staff who will be engaged in the task of considering the President's nominees for ministerial appointments, the House will take a break as from tomorrow, Wednesday, 10 February 2021, to Tuesday, 2nd March 2021. During that period, honourable members are to comply with the strict COVID-19 protocols and regulations. Members and staff should also resubmit themselves to the Parliament Medical Centre for retesting after 2 weeks from tomorrow to ascertain their status before the assumption of the House. Meanwhile, Parliament will continue with the weekly disinfection and sanitization of the premises and presence of Parliament.
Away from that, the Central Regional Police Command is collaborating with traditional authorities in that region to distribute face masks and sanitizers to the people in that region. The police say combining enforcement and sensitization is the surest way to reduce the spread of the virus. Regional Police Commander DCOP Habiba Tumase Sapong partnered with the Omahin of the Adina traditional area to get many people to adhere to the protocols. Richard Kojanyako has more.
The Regional Police Administration partnered traditional authorities in Ogwa to share face masks and sanitizers days ago. They did not end it there. Now they are moving from one town to the other, enforcing the wearing of the mask, the distribution of it, and sanitizers to the people as well. Regional Police Commander DCOP Habiba Tumase Sapong was at Elmina and partnered the traditional authorities to sensitize the people and distribute the mask donated to them by Castle FM, a radio station in Cape Coast. She asked the people to, as a matter of necessity, abide by the protocols.
We cease to achieve the buy-in of the wearing of the nose mask. We are enforcement agencies. We are supposed to enforce it. We are going to enforce it. But we want to enforce it together with sensitization, and that is exactly what we are doing. And we are doing that by also looking for donors to help us. That is why we're able to share nose masks and the sanitizers to the public. We want to encourage them to wear them, to protect them, because our responsibility is protection of life and property. And whatever it takes for us to do that, and that's exactly what we are doing. After the sensitization, we are enforcing, we are doing it together. So we will enforce it and prosecute them when necessary. The
Omahine of Edna traditional area, Nana Kojo Kondia, asked the people to abide by the protocols that have been put in place by government to reduce the spread of the virus.
They are about to task the President, necessary no dabano. One bomb as in the Bedido. Mama,
we are pleading that the government directive on the protocols must be adhered to. This is not a time for politics. In Ghana, we play politics with everything. This is a disease. It knows no political color. We should team up with government to follow the protocol. The Central Regional Police Command would, in the coming days, continue to undertake the exercise in other parts of the region. Richard Kwejonya, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Away from that, illegal miners have taken over the farming village of Kwabanka in the eastern region, digging trenches indiscriminately for gold. Homes and backyard gardens are now preferred grounds after gaining little from mining farmlands and bushes. Though some community members are worried about their development, many landowners are giving their lands for this purpose. Nana Jima visited the area and has come through with this report.
Martha Bedu harvests cassava from her farm to feed her family. Until she gave part of this land to illegal miners, it catered for all food needs of the family. The entry to the farm where illegal miners once operated is reclaimed, awaiting revegetation. Bedu made just 1,400 cedis from their farm, an amount the miners claim is 1/3 of their earnings.
The total amount they got wasn't revealed to me. All I saw was the gold they dug daily. They were in small quantities. Sometimes they gave me 30 cedis, claiming that was my cut for the day.
In the middle of Banka, a cocoa farm of about 2 acres is being destroyed by these miners. Here, the miners with pickaxe and shovel dig trenches of about 4 to 6 feet in search of gold. Few meters from the cocoa farm, the owner of this house gave out his backyard after ostensibly negotiating a 10,000 cedi offer. Nana Koto is a unit committee member in the local area.
They realized there was a lot of gold in the homes after prospecting for it. They paid huge money, convincing the landowners to willingly offer their land.
Yes.
The traditional authority warned against that, but no one listened.
I'm standing in one of the trenches dug by these illegal miners, and this place, according to the people, used to be a backyard garden. But for want of money, the owner of this garden decided to give this place to the miners. Beyond the obvious food security threats, there are other dangers stirring. Nana Koto again.
Now they are refusing to cover the pits. They want the landowners to do that contrary to the agreement made. When the rain sets in, it will gather water and breed mosquitoes.
Many indigents of Kwabanka have abandoned farming for illegal mining, which was once a preserve of visitors. From Kwabanka in the eastern region, for Joy News, Nana Yaojima reporting.
Away from that, judges hearing the 2020 election petition have set Thursday, February 11, to rule on whether Chair of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, must be cross-examined. This was after lawyers for 2020 NDC presidential candidate insisted as a public officer who supervised elections and served notice of testifying in court, the EC chair cannot back out at this stage. Lawyers for the EC had earlier informed the Supreme Court the EC chair will not be called into the box. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was in court and filed this report.
Lead counsel for the Electoral Commission, Justin Amenuvo, had already indicated to the court that he will be making a request that the Electoral Commission chairperson is given the leeway not to enter the witness box to be cross-examined by lawyers for the petitioner. And he did justify that in his own view by insisting that the settled case law points to the fact that the Electoral Commission chairperson and any witness for that matter cannot be compelled to give evidence in any case.
Also, it's my submission that Rule 3E, all the provisions are quite very clear, and my learned friends putting one interpretation on it on one day and another interpretation on it on another day is most unfortunate. Respectfully submitted.
Mr. Kotompa, who represents President Akufo-Addo's team, agreed with this view and advanced arguments to back the view on why they also have the right not to call Peter McMenu into the box to be cross-examined.
Society of Lloyds versus Sir William Otho Jeffrey BT 2000 EWHC Commercial 51, where the issue of a party failing or refusing to give evidence after a witness statement had been served on other parties in the suit arose, and a prayer was made for the witness to be compelled to enter the box. The court held as follows: where a party, after serving a statement of his witness on the opposing party in accordance with pretrial directions, decided not to call that witness to give evidence, the court had no power to order that party to call its witness to give evidence in court. Unquote.
Lead counsel for President Mahamat Chachuchikata, however, disagreed.
Shall call is mandatory, the last time I checked in the law books. And my lords, I'm sorry.
Lie, as you read.
Yes, but my lords, as that now, nobody has said we don't intend to rely on the witness statement. Nowhere has it been stated. All they have said is that we are not doing. My lord, that is the reality. I mean, however much grumbling goes on the other side, my lord, this is important because there are many options open to us. If they say they are not relying on the witness, we can apply to the court for a subpoena to call the chairperson. For instance, we can apply to the court. Yes, because
I thought it is implied.
The only reason why we did not take that course is, of course, because she is acting on behalf of the first respondent.
The court adjourned proceedings to Thursday to deliver its ruling. The two legal teams disagree on the quality of the arguments that have been advanced by their respective sides.
It's curious that the petitioner, on whom the burden of proof lies, wants the Electoral Commissioner to mount the witness box in order for him to use the Electoral Commissioner to prove its case. This is not heard of, and our application today was firmly grounded in law. Lawyers, when we go to court, decide the strategy we want to take. We, as counsel for the second respondent, decided to take this course of action.
There is evidence on record showing that she had elected to give evidence and to be cross-examined on the witness statement that she has filed. Now, we will not go into the merits or demerits of what she has filed because the court is yet to give its ruling on that on Thursday. But suffice it to say that the reason why we are insisting that she be allowed to testify is simply because, my brothers and sisters, this is not a debt collection case. we are not here dealing with a private matter, the private interest or private litigants. We are here dealing with the public interest. We are here dealing with the declaration of the results that reflected or is supposed to have reflected the sovereign will of the people of this country.
On Thursday, the issue for determination will be whether or not an individual who has filed a witness statement and indicated to the court that he intends to testify can change his or her mind and decide not to testify any longer and be subjected to cross-examination. I'm reporting for Joy News from the Supreme Court. My name is Joseph Akable.
And that's how we end the AM News with me, Mapito CBD.
Hiya. Thank you for actually joining us for the news review segment. Mama Vio Uswawaje. Good morning.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I was just trying to adjust my N95. I mean, I don't mind that it looks funny.
Your KN95.
My mask is too big,
okay,
and I've been trying to figure out.
Now, here's what's happening. With this one, the way you've done it now, you've actually exposed the sides of your, I don't know.
You see it that way, but there isn't space. In fact.
No, but looking through a short while ago, I could actually see your lips. That's not a good thing, is it?
No, this is my N95, because when I open it the way you've worn it, you actually see a bigger space on the side. Right. It's actually big. Maybe I should try and get stop laughing. I'm get the mask for the kids. I'll get one Mickey Mouse and be wearing that. That would be.
Okay, I'm gonna find the hygiene by. That's on a lighter note.
This one is not. This one is not that.
Let's all mask up and stay safe.
Steady.
Mask up and stay safe.
Oh, Charlie.
So another morning is here. Hope you slept well.
Oh, yeah, I did. I did. It was good. I'm happy to be alive. God's been good, and He continues to be good. You know?
Like we started with that Don Moen song, Thank You, Lord. I don't know whether you've said it this morning. Very important. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's not, mere coincidence. Anyway, let's dig into the papers. I have the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, the Daily Statesman, and the Business and Financial Times.
I'll do the Finder, the Daily Dispatch, the Ghanaian Times, the Custodian. I've got two other papers. If time permits, I'll get into it.
Did you say Ghanaian Times?
Did I say Ghanaian Times?
You said that somewhere.
Okay, maybe Daily Graphic. Apologies.
For a moment, I thought they were duplicates.
Think about it. I was just...
Right. Okay, so quickly on to the headlines of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Cross-border racketeering, 19 foreigners arrested in Ho. You remember was it yesterday? That we had a similar instance with some others. And here we are that's actually on page 16, the middle spread. Some Nigerians coming through Ho. They've been apprehended. That was a dawn swoop. And maybe we can get the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper there. But I'll bring you more details of that in the story. They are actually going to be either prosecuted or deported. Then we can't keep COVID-19 protocol violators in cells. That's according to the police. But what exactly can be done? This morning on the show, we're going to be interacting with a lawyer who will share his thoughts with us on what can be done to, deter people from breaking the COVID-19 protocols, especially the mask-wearing protocols. On page 10, you have that story. Police grab 2 baby thieves in Ashanti region. And then COVID-19, CRI kicks against closure of schools. I'm talking about Executive Director of the Child Rights International, Mr. Bright Appiah. He's been talking, and he's also been sharing his thoughts about the closure of schools. At least 24 people are dead in a Tangier factory food incident. That is in Morocco. And you can check out details of that story on page 5 of the paper. And then clashes in Senegal after opposition leader is accused of rape. Interesting times. I mean, from Bobby Wine in Uganda and being kept in his home to this one. Interesting all over Africa. The minority has been talking about this incident. You may have seen photos of some people carrying the bag of the Attorney General designate, if you like. I'm talking about Godfred Dame. And the minority has been talking about that. Stop making soldiers bodyguards of civilians, among other things. Some of these things that have been mentioned in there as well. Then when you go to the middle spread, 19 foreigners, like I said, arrested in Ho. COVID-19 daily case count stable but high. That's according to the Ghana Health Service. We've dropped from some 750 cases per day to 695. So a bit of a downtick there, but we still have a lot more work to do. Ghana reviews COVID-19 protocols at airport. And here I'll just take a moment to give you a bit of a briefing on what exactly was said in case you missed it. So per the Information Minister designate, Mr. Kojo Ponkroma, all of these airlines are to observe certain travel protocol amendments, and all airlines which disembark passengers without a PCR, that is a polymerase chain reaction test certificate, or with a PCR certificate which is positive, shall be fined 3,500 per passenger. He also indicates that residents who leave Ghana and return within 1 week would no longer be required to present a COVID-19 test from the country of departure. So those are some highlights from that story. Let's go to the back page now. ActionAid organizes workshop on sexual harassment. And then MP deplores tertiary students' violation of COVID-19 protocols. This one is interesting because the deplores bits, the D, so you look at the word and you think, okay, you might end up struggling a bit. But that's it with the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
I want to start with the Finder newspaper. So front page of the Finder, 142 COVID-19 positive cases recorded in schools in 4 regions. There's a breakdown in the paper. As given by the Ghana Health Service Director yesterday. Supreme Court's decision out on Thursday, not Friday, as has been advertised by the Finder. Too early to shut down schools. That's according to Child Rights International. We'll tell you a bit about what Bright Appiah has been talking about. And from Dumso to stable power, costs 12 billion Ghana cedis in capacity charges for power we did not use. And the paper is also talking about Dr. Awal's pedigree and how it is so appropriate for the sector where he's been put, tourism, arts and culture. He has something to do with the Finder, by the way. I guess that's why they would highlight on this issue. We'll see how well he does. He has to go through vetting and then he'll become the substantive minister of the sector. We wish him well with the vetting as well. But on page 4 on this, the breakdown in Kwantanan Medina districts, the schools that have so far recorded cases include Presec, Legon. They've got 17 suspected cases with 4 confirmed cases. The Royal Agape Academy, also in Kwantanan Medina district, has 14 suspected cases with confirmation pending on the actual number of infected students. And then the West Africa Senior High School, they've got 24 suspected cases. 13 of the students so far have been confirmed positive. If you go to Ablekuma North, Wesley Grammar School in the Ablekuma North district so far has 3 suspected cases, but 1 student has been confirmed positive. Odoko cluster of schools, 15 persons suspected, but only 5 have so far been confirmed. A suspected number of the student body at the Crown Prince Academy tested positive for the virus. We will get into the other districts as has been given a bit later on here on our show. But if you look sharply, there's the call by the Child Rights International's Executive Director, Bright Appiah, who has argued that although there has been a rise in COVID-19 infections among children, available data was not strong enough to shut down schools. You can read on details in the paper today.
Let's quickly move on to the Daily Guide newspaper now. Inmates test positive for COVID-19 in Eastern region. That's something I hope to dig into. Give us Jean Mensah, Mahama pleads. Remember that? Give me Vim. Give me Vim. It's like, give us Jean Mensah. Give her to us. Let us query her. Let us get her in the box and find out what she has to say. But respondents are saying, lie. We don't want that. Take your turn. So that's where we've got to, and as has been intimated, on Thursday we'll get some closure on that matter. Too early to close schools, CRI boss, as I mentioned earlier. Speaker shuts down Parliament over COVID. And of course, Recently, we had 56 of their staff, including 15 members of parliament, testing positive, going through certain protocols. And now when they return on March the 2nd, 3 weeks from now, they're going to have to retest to prove they are not still positive. In the meantime, the vetting by the appointments committee, like I indicated, will be going on. NDC hangs Koku Anyidoho. The groups are saying Koku. He's been talking too much. Have you followed his post on social media?
Absolutely. And I listened to him on Ekosi saying when Obi wanted to find out if indeed that Twitter feed
was his. You know, because at some point it shocks you. You begin to ask yourself,
is it shocking?
Well, he's a former deputy, General Secretary of the party.
Yeah, well, but I've been following him, so I'm not surprised that we are at this point, you know, with him. I think they should have just left him. Let him be.
You do realize that the NDC, I mean, to their credit, they have practically ignored him for a long time. But from what we hear, it's the grassroots, some groups within the party calling for this. Whether or not, I mean, in the past, even in the MVP, we've seen some of these.
Oh, yeah.
And, oh, yeah.
I don't know why the parties even bother.
Charlie, but that reminds me of Mr. Foucault. Hey, Asemo. So, digging further into the Daily Guide, just some international news here on page 5. Rubber bullets used as Myanmar protesters defy ban. In the middle spread, Celestine Donko's hubby suffers erectile dysfunction after COVID-19. This one, it's COVID kojoto. If you make a mistake, asema bafie. So I beg you, watch out, because I don't know.
Is it surface or suffered?
Well.
What's the surface?
The story says suffers erectile dysfunction after COVID. You know, the way it's put, it could be something, it still could be something in the past because of the way it's put. It's not necessarily to say he is still suffering it. I mean, between the time of production to now, anything could have happened. But the fact is that...
You know, I appreciate it when people are open, but sometimes it's also worrying the kind of twists and how these things are reported. So the impression that it creates. I actually got a call yesterday from a very good friend who wanted to, hey, Mama, have you heard? Celestine, oh God, asthma. I said, Charlie, chill. There are many people who have suffered from that. Eventually they recover. Yeah. So it's not like a permanent thing. Yeah. It's just a matter of time. And so don't go to town with it, you know?
But you see, here's the problem. I don't know whether it's long COVID or something, but you know, there are people, recently, you saw that post on Facebook, I think I shared it, where there was this gentleman who was saying that since he got it quite a while ago till now, I mean, I think he spoke about his sense of smell, then appetite, and that one too. That till now, I mean, the others are gradually getting better, but he can't sustain. He's a married man.
Oh, yeah.
There's work to be done.
Oh, please.
Sanctioned, officially sanctioned.
So let me talk to you as a married woman. Sometimes...
Preach!
I won't tell you. I was going to give you a fella, but I won't give you.
If you don't give it to me on air, whether back room,
I'm not going to talk.
Or in the room.
No.
Anyway.
I want to say that sometimes, you know, when women get pregnant, sometimes there are complications, and you may not be able to do anything with her for the entire period when she's pregnant. Are you saying that you can't stay?
No, you're missing the point.
Oh,
in this instance, Ejakodimo doesn't know whether his Kantamanto will be operative in the next how many.
So he should
It
chill.
is a situation that is of grave concern.
It's like going on vacation. Chill, you know?
Tell that to the guys. And told that Adan Youth support electrochem salt mining.
Slow
and
down.
On the back page, 2 nurses. What's all this fingered business? 2 nurses fingered in Maradona death investigation.
Charlie, the men will kill me today.
And they get you. Let's check out the daily graphic.
All right, front page, Speaker suspends sitting over COVID-19 bag. Appointments Committee begins ministerial vetting today. There's Kweku Agyemang-Menu and Albert Kandapa. I think one of the questions we're asking today really is, what would you like for them to be asked, really? What do you want them to talk about? And it's really important that the health minister designate is here because the times that we are in, really crucial times with the COVID. And then, of course, on security, there's Albert Kandapa, who is coming again. But the banner headline, cross-examination of EC chair, Supreme Court decides tomorrow. There's Jean Mensah walking. Captured on the front page of the paper. This is one of her court appearances. Never misses court sittings. You know, yesterday I was jokingly saying that that can be really annoying, right? All right, graphic rewards loyal customers, World Bank ready to fund vaccine procurement. So she's not saying, because she goes to court, all right. It's just that the Electoral Commission says they will not let their witness come into the box. What will the Supreme Court say tomorrow? All eyes there and ears, I guess. On the back page, fight over rap king title turns deadly in Cape Coast. 24-year-old up-and-coming musician in Cape Coast, the Central Region capital, has been stabbed to death. The deceased, Emmanuel Akins, a.k.a. Unruly Crank and Soft Metal in music circles, was stabbed last Sunday at the Orange Beach Resort near the Cape Coast Castle over a misunderstanding between him and Bright Ellis, a 27-year-old artisan. He was rushed to the Cape Coast Metropolitan Hospital for treatment, but was pronounced dead on arrival. Let's see if I can get some juice. He used Facebook in particular to promote his latest album titled Frass Pon Frass, and was preparing to launch a video on the album in April this year. So this is the police account. The two were said to have met at Cape Coast Castle for their rap battle, but the event turned bloody among them and their fans, resulting in Ellis stabbing Emmanuel. Suspect, who also sustained a cut on his left hand, subsequently made a report at the police station against the deceased and was issued the medical forms, but was later arrested by the police to assist with investigations. According to eyewitnesses, it all started on social media but became physical on Sunday when fans of the artist attacked one another verbally. This escalated, leading to the death of Unruly Crank. Oh, that's such a tragic ending. I mean, if you're doing like a rap battle, it's supposed to be fun. I mean, it gets heated, but the end game is fun, really. And I can't imagine that it ended
some of
this
these
way for them.
battles end up in a sad way. If you remember Suge Knight and the whole bit about Tupac Amaru Shakur and Christopher Wallace, a.k.a. Biggie Smalls, you would know that these things can escalate very quickly. And the album name, though, Frass Pon Frass, and it ended up in a fracas, and lives were taken. Charlie, very sad.
But you know what happens usually is the names that you mentioned, they were big before, you know, it got ugly like that. But he's not even known. I mean, I haven't even heard of his name or the other guy. And this album, sadly, we will pay attention to the album now because he's passed. Oh.
But another angle to look at is how sometimes the fans, you know, get consumed. That's why sometimes when the Shatta fans and the Stonebwoy fans are doing stuff, you want to, hey, take it easy, because it can quickly escalate. And even the artists may be somewhere minding their business, but fans would be, you know, throwing missiles at one another. Very sad development.
24-year-old, and he was going to release the album on his birthday, April 5th. Unfortunately,
a lot of young artists have died within the latter stages of last year and this point, especially in the US and other places. I see a lot of these young artists. I mean, I've seen so many of them. I'm beginning to wonder what exactly is going on.
To think that we're protecting ourselves and we're running away from COVID, and for a parent to hear that your child has died because somebody has stabbed him. Oh, God. Unfortunate. Our prayers with the family. This is really, really sad.
The Daily Statesman quickly now. COVID-19, GHS urges choristers to wear masks. And you know, last week I was working out. I go somewhere, then I do 10K on Saturdays. And I was in my mask, and some people from time to time, sometimes I just with a bit get enough. And people, some would see you and ask, oh, why are you in a mask and all of that? But Charlie, the thing doesn't know when you are working out or anything. You just manage it to work on your breathing. But I'm thinking though, have you ever sung in a choir?
Yeah.
Do you think you could manage it?
College?
Do you think you could manage it with
in a mask
on?
Yeah. I mean, we talk for hours.
I mean, I think it's
so
doable,
you should be able
but
to
apparently the foresters are not doing it.
No, but I mean, it all comes down to discipline. And we know the times that we're in, so you can manage it so that you're not singing for 1 hour continuous. You're singing for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes. That's manageable at any point in time.
So what exactly do you sing? Oh, or you do mine? Like,
you know, let's just say that I used to have a better singing voice when I was
better between who and who?
When I was at Zion College.
Okay.
Did I sing at Zion? Oh, I'm talking about junior high school. Okay. Maybe not senior.
Memories now.
Yeah, I'm thinking because I don't want my Zion college mates to call and say, Mama B, this one that you said, it's not true.
False filler.
So I'm thinking, did I sing there? I know that I did drama there. I was in the drama and debating club.
Hi.
I don't remember.
You have any photos or?
But I used to sing.
This is where I get up to my mischievous best. Derek Ekosam.
Oh, he won't find anything.
We should investigate this matter.
Ew.
We won't find anything.
Which I was like, as in.
No, are you daring us?
Oh, go ahead. I can give you, but you won't find that. If you say you're going on Facebook, for instance, look for it.
Zion College, huh?
Yeah. Good luck.
Okay.
They're beautiful photos, by the way.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Government pays 12 billion Ghana cedis for unused power from NDC's take-or-pay energy contracts. Be happy we are not testifying, respondents' councils tell Chachu. But, you know, now that Chachu's name is back, I just have to say this. As a student of the law, listening to Chachu is like, what's the word? I'm looking for it's mellifluous.
What does that mean, please?
So when something is mellifluous, it's soothing, it's beautiful.
Okay.
It has so you can use it for a voice or something else. But the man is just, I am amazed at how he thinks on his feet. I was speaking with some other students yesterday, and it's just something else. I don't know whether you've noticed, but his grasp of the law and how his banter with, I'm not saying, I mean, the others show depth when it comes to the law, but Chachu, I don't know. He's something else. He's just a font of knowledge.
You admire the man. That's okay. It's acceptable.
I do.
We won't hold any.
I'm fawning over him live on television. Anyway, so that's it.
You're what?
Fawning over him.
That's like another zone right there. Let's do the daily. Are you done?
Let me wrap up with the back page, and then I think I'll be done with this. Fight talk. Is Floyd Mayweather ruining legacy with exhibition bouts? Recently, he's been threatening to fight with 50 Cent, and then those YouTubers, Jake and Logan Paul, and some people are saying he is demeaning pugilism, boxing, the art, and what's going on with him. Well, he's thinking money. Of course, he calls his team the money team. Achu handed, I'm talking about Christian Achu, handed career lifeline at Newcastle United after being restored in Premier League squad. That's also on the back page of the Daily Statesman.
The Daily Dispatch front page, Supreme Court asked Chachi Chikata, can't Jean Mensah change her mind? Can I answer to you one at a time? And that's Chachu, and they're just picking some of the lines, yesterday's arguments, but Chachu's angle, that's on the front page of the paper, details in the paper as well. Edu Amamfo is new security coordinator. They've got the 2020 parliamentary results in today's paper, and they said 10 of police stations in northern region to be disinfected. 17 MPs and 151 staff test positive for COVID-19 in parliament. Reason they're shutting for 3 weeks. We're told they will disinfect the place and they will return. But if 17 MPs have tested positive, there are 275. Does that warrant a complete shut of Parliament? Well, can we even say it's been completely shut? Because Appointments Committee will begin its work today. Those are the questions that we're asking. We have a conversation.
Well, the question also to consider is whether those 15, 17, whom they may have encountered, what the threats are with regard to the other members of Parliament, the testing and what results.
Yeah, we might as well just shut the entire country because there's contact, there's tracing.
But you do recall, in the case of
every day.
In the case of Parliament, I think it is fitting, because if you look at the period within which members were supposed to test, a lot of them refused to do the right thing. And when we're told that some of them were even coming to participate in the business of the House, I think it's only fitting that they take the precautionary measure of ensuring that you all go and get tested, ensure if you are positive, you follow the right procedures. I mean, that's why I suppose it goes into the length of the period, 3 weeks.
I hope that we, as a nation, and its citizens will not be suffering the effects of this shutdown because of somebody's carelessness and because they decided not to do the right thing. Do you get what I mean?
It always comes down to someone's carelessness,
we need to weigh the cost as well. And let's be talking about how they've cost us this much within the 3 weeks. Yeah.
Anyway, are you done with that paper?
I am done.
My final one now, Business and Financial Times. A lot of the stories already mentioned, so I'll just stick to this. CD shows resilience against dollar and euro. Alrighty. Is there time for a story before we get into sports? You can do a story.
We can just quickly also go through myjoyonline.com. I guess I'll just let go the rest of the papers, essentially what we've been talking about, the headlines in the other papers.
Well, let's quickly do My Joy Online. Parliament Appointment Committee commences vetting ministerial nominees today. That's the main one there. Parliament suspends sitting for 3 weeks after surge in COVID-19 cases. Returned bribe. FDA lawyer goes to Court of Appeal, stalls her injunction hearing. I've tested negative for COVID-19. Israel Laye, our very own, shares update on status. And police gun down suspected armed robber, arrest 2 others at Hachu. Wrapping up now, COVID-19, it felt like someone was standing on my chest. Sami Forson shares his ordeal. Funny Face arrested in Kaswa for unlawful discharge of firearm. 23 schools in Greater Accra recorded active COVID-19 cases. And Ras Mubarak and Enoch Tay Mensah among personalities contesting Council of State membership. Interesting times indeed. It's a wrap as far as my...
Yeah, but before we go, I've got a birthday dedication. It's a special one to Esther Georgina Bosomchi, JHS 2 student of Anglo Gold Ashanti Basic School in Obuasi. She's 10 today. Esther Georgina Bosomchi is from your mom, Alberta Godwin of Anglo Gold Ashanti Malaria Control, and your brother Emmanuel Sam Bosomchi and sister Susan Rosa Bosomchi, all of Anglo Gold Ashanti Basic School in Obuasi. So cute Esther Georgina Bosomchi, JHS 2 student of Anglo Gold Ashanti Basic School. Happy 10th birthday to you, sweetheart, today.
So I just want to say that if we get to know the Momo numbers, I'll send something so you can have tea with biscuits today.
For real?
Oh, yeah, tea with biscuits.
Yeah, so just send it to my number. Yeah, I'll pass it on.
Your number?
Yeah, I'll send it to Nana Sifachum. Yeah.
No, I'm suspicious about that.
Ah. Is it a promise you just made?
It is a promise I just
I'll hold you.
No
Seriously.
problem. No problem.
Yeah.
But I made the promise.
Yeah, but who knows the little girl?
It's time for sports now. That's up next. Tuesday.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM Sports with me, Oreko Wampofo. We do start off with some boxing news, and it has to do with former world boxing champion, that's Isaac Dogbe. Now, he has parted ways with his father, and Paul Dogbe would no longer be managing his son, but his former manager, that's Paul Dogbe, has been speaking exclusively to Joy Sports and been wishing well his son and saying that the future certainly is bright, and whoever takes over from him should take care of his son, and he knows that he would still be doing well. Let's hear from Paul Dogbe.
Dobby, who guided his son to world title success in the year 2018, says the 26-year-old has a good foundation to help him to bigger success.
Listen, I done my part. You know, the kid has a good foundation, so he has to take off from where daddy left off and go to the next level. You know, I wish him all the best. I give him God's blessings, you know, and everybody that comes across him should help him, you know, and he has to make it, you know, because the foundation is good. He has to make it. There's no cause for no alarm. You know, he has to have a tunnel vision focus, like always, and make it happen.
it is what it is.
As a self-managed boxer, Isaac Dobby, the Royal Storm, will be responsible for negotiating his own fights directly with Top Rank Promotions, his promoters. The former champion is meanwhile back in the US working on his next fight, which will be announced soon.
Let's now do some football, where the Ghana Football Association, in their bid to improve the standard of football in Ghana, have taken yet another step towards that. And this time they've brought in 10 electronic substitution boards to aid referees in substitutions. Previously, referees had to manually arrange, substitution numbers on boards to be able to lift to show the numbers. But now all of this would be done electronically, and all they have to do is just input that and then lift the boards, making their work easier. Let's now hear from referee manager Alex Corte as he talks about how this would help improve the game here in Ghana.
Ghana Football Association has taken delivery of 10 electronic two-sided substitution board. This gadget is from Italy, and we are going to use it in all the league matches. That is Premier, Division 1, and also for the Women League. This one is electronic. It's not the manual one that you have to turn and turn and turn, and sometimes when you are turning, if you are not very careful, you even make mistakes with them. But for this one, it is electronic. It is two-sided, so it shows front and back. These are gadgets that enhance refereeing. These are gadgets that was even used in the World Cup, and for us to have 10 of such, I think that is a morale booster. This is just telling us that the Ghana Football Association is investing a lot of money, a lot of resources into refereeing, and especially referee training. Just last week, we took delivery of 8 additional communication gadgets, which we are using in all the Women's League matches, the Division 1, and then also at some other centers too as well. And so the FA is putting in a lot of resources, putting in a lot of money to ensure that refereeing gets to the top. I mean, that is what we want to do, and we believe that if we are able to come up with such gadgets which would enhance refereeing, it will make the game very, very, attractive.
That was the referees manager of the Ghana Football, and his name is Alex Corte.
Thank you for staying, and welcome back on the AM show. It's a Wednesday morning, and courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, we bring you AM Business. Coming up today, Odilia Ntiamwa is going to be engaging a very interesting group. Now, sometime last year, in the likes of South Korea, those countries with drive-through COVID-19 testing systems made a killing. In fact, in that country, there was a jump on the stock exchange of about 151% in share prices. Here in Ghana, there is a new entity that is doing same, and business is booming for them. Question is, now that vaccination doses are expected in March, what exactly happens to their business? Will there be a downturn? Odilia Ntiamwa investigates that as we bring you AM Business. Do enjoy.
In September 2020, I contracted COVID-19 myself. How I discovered that I had COVID was that my 1-year-old's poo-poo I couldn't smell, and there and then I knew there was something wrong. So I immediately contacted a friend, and then I was off to Nyaho Clinic to take a test, and I was positive. Fast forward, today I'm hearing there's something interesting that is going on here at East Legon, where people are actually driving through to take a COVID-19 test. So some statistics. Now, RT-PCR tests are actually about 75% of all the tests that are going on worldwide. When it comes to COVID-19 vaccines, we have done some 7.5 billion purchases so far. Rich countries have done about 80 of that percentage, leaving a very small margin for small countries or countries that do not have. And when it comes to South Korea was one of the countries that used drive-thrus actually to beat down their COVID numbers, and they actually did that very, very well. Well, this is arguably Ghana's leading drive-thru companies right now, and I'm going right there to see how it is done. Remember that drive-thru, just like the concept of food buying, you just drive your car through the place and then you get the kind of service you're looking for. To the BBC, and the BBC gave a figure out that about 20% of all people who have tested positive COVID-19 have probably picked it from healthcare centers. So drive-thrus definitely could be one of the best things. Okay, so we are here, right here where we will be doing the test. Hi, good morning.
Hi, Mommy.
How are you?
I'm doable.
Great.
In fact, you're actually looking beautiful with the nose mask on.
Black, you see.
Very beautiful.
Thank you. So what does it require me to do a rapid test on the go?
We don't do rapid test here. What we do is the PCR test.
Okay.
And in case you are traveling, you can go with it.
Okay.
Yes, so what we do. So before any question, let me sanitize your hands first. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes. So have you done it before?
Yes, I have done a test before.
So you know the process.
Yeah.
Right.
Either my nose or my mouth.
Or your throat.
Yes.
No, your throat.
Yes.
And it's a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's not that rosy, you understand? So you just bear with us and then yes. So any questions or
so this testing kit that you're using now, is it Ghana made or is imported?
Okay, do you know what? We don't use a testing kit. What we do is the PCR. The testing kit you are talking about is the rapid one.
Yes.
But we do the PCR. So we take the samples to Uchi.
Okay.
Yes, so the tests are being run at Uchi.
Okay, so it means that when I drive through, I may not have the test almost immediately.
If you want, we have one that is 48 hours with a different price, and then we have 12 hours with a different price, 24 hours with a different price, and then from 2 hours to 6 hours to, which is called the express, with a different price as well.
Okay, so
whichever package you choose is what we do.
So run me through the prices.
So the 48 hours is 750 Ghana cedis. The 24 hours is 550 Ghana cedis. And then the one with the express one is 850 Ghana cedis.
That's a lot of money. Yes. Anyway, I think when I did mine, I paid, I think I paid almost 600 cedis. And it was 24 hours.
24 hours. So that is what we are giving to you at 550 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
So you see there is a discount there.
But how is it going? Tell me how it's going.
Yes,
are people coming to do the test?
People are coming. You know,
I saw 2 people before I left.
Yes.
Before I came in.
Before you came, yeah. In Ghana, when you establish something, it takes a while for people to actually get to grab it. But it's been, I think, 3 days we started, and then so far it has been amazing.
So how many people have so far tested?
So far, I think we have almost about 15 people.
Tests?
Yes, tests.
Wow, that's a lot of cash for you guys.
It's not really about the cash, but it's about, knowing your status and then...
Exactly.
Yes, so that the virus will not spread.
Okay, so take us through the process. What are you going to do? I have to take off my mask?
No, you do not take... Yes, you pull your mask down.
And then I don't have to talk again?
No, yes, please. So this is the kit. Okay. My brothers, they are there. They will come and then take the samples.
Okay, all right. So while you're taking the samples, I can't talk, but the moment I'm done, I'll keep asking more questions.
No problem.
Okay.
So I'll be hanging around so that you attend so one at a time. So when you come.
Okay. All right. So I'm all ready.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Please, I would like to take your temperature. Okay. Yeah, sorry. 36.1.
Okay. And the temperature is supposed to be not more than 37. Okay.
Thank you.
So this definitely is becoming like big business for a lot of companies right here in Ghana. It's become like a booming business because in 3 days they've done 15, and this is just like a drive-through. So I'm about to just take my test. I'm sure this one will be the 551, 24 hours, depending on how benevolent they get. Also in Korea, where drive-thrus were really rampant last year, manufacturing companies in Korea that were manufacturing test kits actually saw their shares jump by 151%.
No, it's not a good look and some self-control. Deep down I know this never works, but you can lay with me so it doesn't hurt. Oh, won't you stay with me? 'Cause of all I need.
Sorry, we're done.
We'll call you and then we send it to the email address. And if you want it on WhatsApp too, you can let us know. So we send it on the WhatsApp too for you.
Okay, all right, okay. Thank you. And that's it?
That's it.
Okay, so that's it. We're done with the rapid test, and I'm off to ask the owner of the company a few more questions. And well, in the world of business, PCR tests actually currently, because of COVID, form about 75% of the business. And like I've said earlier, South Korea was one of the leading countries doing the drive-through service. We're here with Evie Osei, and she's the COO of the company. She's going to run us through exactly what's happening here. Evie, so why did you decide to do a drive-through, and are you the first in the country?
Okay, so the reason why we decided to do a drive-through is we realized that the hospitals that are accredited by the government according to our research, there's a few, about 4 hospitals that are accredited. And then as a digital healthcare service, we're trying to create convenience for people and also to reduce the spread. And then so how are we going to do that? So we decided that at vantage points in the country, Ghana, we put a drive-through where people can just come through and have their test done, and then they know the status they're in so that they can avoid coming around people and then touching people. And again, when people are also going out of the country, it becomes problematic for them to have the test done because they keep asking the question like, where can I go? I have to join queues at the hospital before, and sometimes they have just 24 hours or 12 hours to go. So we decided, my team and I, that we're going to do drive-thrus at vantage points so that people who are going outside the country, foreigners or Ghanaians, can actually just go through the drive-thru, have the test done, and then they get their result through emails and also on an app. We have an app, so yeah. So basically,
is this good business?
Yeah, it's in business. So our app is called 24/7 Doctor Online. So the name suggests that you can have access to doctors 24 hours, 7 days a week. So you can just jump onto the platform and actually, when you download it, you have access to doctors in various hospitals across Ghana.
Okay. So my question was, is this drive-through business a good one?
Yeah, it's actually a good one. Okay. It's actually a good one. Okay. It's actually created convenience, and also we have high demand in home services for people who are scared to come out. Okay. So when we did the drive-through, it's crazy the traffic we have at airports and also here at East Lagos. We started just on Friday, and we've been able to do quite a number of tests. That's incredible.
And they were just telling me here alone we've done about 15 tests.
Yes, tests. And that is because people are not even aware of the drive-through. Once they get to know about it, they're like, oh, this is crazy, let's just come through. And the fact that we give them certification for their results, so you can actually see that, okay, this is the result I got and it's certified, and then I can show it and travel with it. It creates that buzz around it. So
how much does it cost to have this test done?
Okay, so for the PCR test, it costs 350 Ghana cedis to have it done for 48 hours. It's quite expensive because of the machine that is used to do the test. Hopefully we are able to reduce the price to some level. So if you don't want it 48 hours, you can do the 550, which is 24 hours, and you can also do a top up for the 12 hours. That means that if you're traveling tonight and you want your result before you travel, you can still do a test that can give you the result at that end. So basically.
So vaccination is a conversation that is coming up. By March, the vaccination conversation would be really rife. We're looking at about 17 million vaccines. How's that going to affect your business?
So it's actually going to bring more business because we're actually looking at not just doing because you have to know your status before you try to vaccinate yourself. So once this is going to come, you're definitely going to bring the vaccines here ourselves to make sure that you do the test and then you have the vaccine against it so that you can actually fight the virus. We're hoping that everything goes on well so that we can also bring the vaccines in, and then we test people out. Once you do the test, we realize you're positive, then you're going to take the vaccine. Our counselor is going to counsel you, and then you feel better at the end of a 2-week session at home.
Just in case that the tests being run at various government hospitals and advantage points are made for free. What happens to this kind of business for you?
Okay, so I wouldn't try to discredit the government or say what they do is not right, but then according to the research I did, most of the people do not know their status immediately. And then sometimes they tell you they're going to call you if it's positive. I mean, if it's positive. If it's negative, you're not going to call you. And then some of them still have symptoms and then they get really scared. The only advantage this one comes with is no matter the status, negative or positive, we are still going to email you your results. We are still going to give you your results, so you're going to see it, and then also a counselor is going to counsel you if it's actually positive.
Are you going to increase the vantage points that you have in?
We are going to increase it. So for Accra, we're doing 3. That is the airport, Shell, 1 in East Legon, where we are right now. We're doing 1 at Spintex. We are going to go to Kumasi. We're going to go to Takrady, and then lastly the north, one side of it, and make sure that people are comfortable, people can actually. We're also looking at affordability. Once we're able to expand, definitely it means that there's more supply, and that means that there's going to be demand coming in as well, so that the people can enjoy knowing their status and then keep it safe. So basically that's the whole idea of the drive-through.
Okay, so like I said, like the food business, just drive through, take whatever you're supposed to take. It's really quick, and you actually avoid getting into contact with so many people. But before we go, just in case you don't have a car, how do you come through a drive-through? You don't have to come with your Legedy Benz. You'll have to come with the car, right?
Yeah, but that's why we've done a mini curtain. Okay, so if you're walking and then you want to pass through, you still can pass through. We give you a seat, we pull the curtain so that you feel comfortable, and then we do it, and then your details are being taken. It's just the same, just that the drive-through idea as well. And now we're looking at putting it at filling stations for people in Ghana. I mean for Accra basically. We have some partnership with them. We want to put it at various filling stations so that before you go, you know your status, and then everyone is safe.
How much does it cost to do a setup like this at one spot?
I'll probably have to contact the whole account team, but it depends. You know, if you're actually hiring the space, or if the partnership we have with them, it depends on how much we're paying for the location. Each legal location will be different when we're doing it. Airport and all that, because there's traffic at the airport. So it depends on it, but
it's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Okay. Thank you, Evie. And I'm sure we'll meet at the other side of town where there'll be no COVID one day.
One day. Thank you very much.
All right. So that's it for AM Business. Drive-through services for COVID. I can't wait for this to be over. My name is Odilia Ntiamwa.
Oh, hello. Welcome back. We'll bring you AM Business every Wednesdays, proudly brought to us by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. So make a date next Wednesday. Right now, though, let's focus attention on Parliament. We're talking about the Appointments Committee, the vetting that will start later today. We know the National Security Minister designates and the Health Minister designates will face the committee. We want to have a conversation on the back of this and try and do some analysis since the two gentlemen appearing before the vetting committee, they've been at the various positions before. Kandapa, for instance, was first appointed back in 2017. There were a few controversies that came up. Many people thought that that would lead to his resignation. He would be sacked or be forced to resign. But that didn't happen. He remained the National Security Minister. And of course, he's been reappointed, going through vetting to see if he will be the minister, the substantive minister of the sector. We'll look at how far we have come with him as National Security Minister. And then, of course, we'll go to the Health Minister designate as well. Let me introduce Chukwuemeka, Dr. Chukwuemeka as Executive Director of OneUp. I'd like to say good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And a member of the Coalition of NGOs in Health, Mr. Isaac Ampoma. Gentlemen, I'm grateful that you could join us. Good morning. Hello, Dr. Chukwuemeka Eze, if you can hear me.
I can hear you very well.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Mr. Isaac Ampoma, can you also hear me, please? Okay, I think we may be having some challenges there. We'll deal with that. But let me start with you, Dr. Eze, and the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa. The minister designate will be vetted today. I want us to look at the role that he's played. But first of all, let's look at the national security position, that role. How crucial is that in Ghana's national or security apparatus? Where does it stand, and what crucial role does it play?
I think it's a very important position, but more important for me is how we begin to frame the issue of security. The first thing to acknowledge is that there is security challenges around our region, and that also, of course, includes Ghana. And the reasons are very obvious and, of course, also varied. So appreciating that is also to begin to frame what kind of security architecture that we need in a country like Ghana. And for me, the first approach or first appreciation is the understanding that security, 21st century security challenges in Africa cannot be addressed through the hardcore security alone. And once that framing begins to take place, then it also now informs the kind of security architecture that we need to put in place to be able to address the security challenges.
You remember in the aftermath of the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence and the committee that was set up to look into the matter, I guess we all did agree in the end that our security structure was not very well defined. In the aftermath of that, has there been any concrete in terms of, are you able to place how we are structured security-wise?
I think there are too much emphasis on the hardcore security, and that's at the detriment of the structural causes of conflict. And I think that in this dispensation, it is important to begin to balance the two. Of course, hardcore security is very important because it provides the states with that latitude to prove that it has the power, it has the monopoly of violence to be able to control dissenting voices in the communities. But then to also sit back and ask some critical questions about why is it that what we see happening in the society is happening? Why is it that we are having youth restiveness? Why is it that we are having youth violence? Why is it that we are having crime and criminality? Once we're able to answer those questions, then we begin to think in the direction of how do we now resolve the structural issues. And I think, in my opinion, there has been more emphasis in ensuring that the hardcore security takes preeminence.
Okay, so what should we ideally be focusing on, if you can break it down further for us?
I think that when the whole idea about human security needs to take preeminence rather than just state security. And here I'm looking at how we can use the meager resources in the country to begin to address citizens' welfare, to begin to look at industrialization, to begin to look at youth employment. I feel strongly that once we are able to tackle the root causes of this violence, then it makes even the hardcore security unnecessary. But so long as we focus on hardcore security, then it will even become more difficult for either the police or even the law enforcement agencies or even the national security or minister to deal with these issues. And in my opinion also, I think that what we also need to do is to consider security as part of the development agenda of the country. And once we do that, then we can now integrate the security architecture within the context of the development agenda of the current administration.
I'll come back to you in a little bit. Just stay with me. Let me move to Mr. Isaac Ampoma, who is a member of the Coalition of NGOs in Health. Ms. Ampoma, I hope that you can hear me now. Good morning to you. Okay, great. Can you just reposition yourself? I could hear you, but it's a bit faint.
Is it better now?
Okay, absolutely better. Thank you so much for your time. I'm talking about health with you because the health minister designate is also appearing before that vetting committee. But let me start off this way. COVID-19 has exposed us. I guess it's just exposed everything that some of you have been talking about for many years now. But now we're seeing the realities of the gaps in the health sector. Let me start off by asking you to help us appreciate the kind of health sector that we have. It's a loaded question, but if you can make it very brief for me.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, I think COVID-19 has also come to add on the already existing challenges within the health sector. Over the years, the country has done well to move a bit better than other neighboring African countries in terms of healthcare service delivery. The system are also helping. Access to healthcare is easily available. Quality is a subject that we all need to discuss. COVID has become part of the vaccination sector, which of course we are all proposing that the nation get vaccinated and see how best we will all be protected from COVID. As talking about vaccination, we also have some vaccine hesitancy campaign going on. Some of these areas we also need to do some advocacy to ensure that vaccine saves life and vaccine is good. So in future, when the government brings the vaccine in, there may be some reactions, some antibody reactions. However, majority of vaccine saves life, and we should all mobilize ourselves and move on. I would like to see from the health minister telling us as to what specific activities and programs that will be laid out when the vaccine comes in, and what mechanisms are also going to be put in place when, of course, there are some advocacy that the vaccination has to be free. Initially, COVID vaccines were of a very high exorbitant charges. Local communities were finding it difficult to even pay and do voluntary testing. So the issues are there. When it comes to the vaccine arena as well, Ghana is also transitioning from the Global Vaccine Alliance. So very soon, we as a country will need to pay for our vaccine. What are some of the mechanisms? What are some of the reprogramming activities that the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service is going to do? What also are the collaborative mechanisms between civil society, religious leaders, and the media are also going to work together to help. So a lot goes on within the health industry. So
Okay.
maybe I'll leave it here for further.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Dr. Chukwuemeka Eze, this minister was first appointed back in 2017. How would you rate his performance over the last 4 years?
I think an assessment would be unfair on the minister because we have not benchmarked him on certain indicators that will give us that leverage to be able to assess him. However, I think that for me, what is important is what needs to be done. I think that for a start, there are key institutions in the country that the minister designates, if confirmed by the parliament, need to work with. There is the National Peace Council, which is if you like, has the convening power on peace and security in the country, and which everybody in Africa as a whole have come to acknowledge as best practice. I think the minister needs to work with the National Peace Council, need to work with the think tank, many of them in Ghana, very well established, need to have that kind of coalition of think tanks that can now begin to design what the security architecture of the country should look like. Then we can now begin to now say these are the kind of things that if we see, we know that the minister is performing, so that at the end of every year or at the end of the 4-year term, we can now assess him on the basis of those indicators. For now, it will be unfair on the minister if I provide a generic assessment of him on the basis of the security climate in the country.
But if he sits at the top, and we've had many security issues, I remember when his private video went viral back in 2020, there were people who were not even concentrating on the core job itself, but just the video alone. They thought he should have resigned on that basis. For him to be given a nod again, in fact, for him to have remained in that position during that time and for him to be given the nod again, it means he's really important to the president. And the course that the president wants to go on this time around. But I'm just looking at why we can't assess his performance in the last 4 years and why that will not be fair.
Well, like I said earlier on, assessment is supposed to be scientifically computed. And therefore, at the beginning of the tenure, we could have had indicators that if we say he has performed in these indicators, we can assess him. It is very possible that the president had those indicators, and on the basis of those indicators, whether he scored low in some areas or scored high in some areas, he took an average and probably considered him fit to be reappointed. Again, also understanding that cabinet of the president also have to do more with the people that he has confidence to carry out his agenda. So if the president has that kind of level of confidence in him, irrespective of whatever criticisms might be coming from the public, then it means that his weaknesses, which everybody has, probably is far more less than his strength. But also, there is also the aspect of continuity in ministerial appointments. I think that's also a huge consideration. Probably there's a traction that he has been taking, so that kind of trajectory that he has taken over time probably is what the president want to continue, since he has understood the challenges and he's ready now to strengthen the areas of weaknesses and provide a better result. So it's a combination of several factors. And like I said, it's difficult for me to assess him. Probably it's very easy now if we have benchmark under which we can assess him. But on the past performance, it is difficult because security, again, is a combination of many factors beyond just the National Security Ministry.
Okay, great. What are you hoping that the vetting will bring out in this minister designates this time?
I'm hoping that it will be robust, it will be thorough. Questions around the security situation, the security climate in the country will be asked. Questions around the role of Ghana within the ECOWAS region as the current chair of Authority of Heads of State and Government will be asked. I'm also confident that the minister already is thinking in that direction and probably will provide those kind of vision under which he will be assessed at the end of his tenure. And I'm also hoping that we can institute now an annual appraiser, performance appraiser scheme that can enable the civil society actors to engage the national security minister in robust discussion about his performance and what he intends to do in the coming year, rather than leave it until the end of the term.
Dr. Chukwuemeka, we'll leave it here, wait for the vetting, and hopefully we can have a conversation afterwards. Thank you very much. Let me wrap up with Ms. Ampoma, if you're still with me. So I see that you focused on the issue that we're dealing with today, the pandemic, and you talked about the vaccines in your earlier submission. But we have many other things that we're confronted with today in our country. What are you hoping that the members of the Appointments Committee would ask the minister that will be satisfying to us citizens?
Right. Thank you very much. It's true. There are a number of issues confronting us. I would like the health minister and, of course, the security sector to also look at health and pandemic as a security threat to human movement. So what are the collaborative instruments that they are all going to put together in ensuring that this country is safe in the pandemic and in the course of the pandemic? What can we, both ministries, do together, and what can civil society also play to ensure that collectively we grow this country together? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us here on the AM show. On Joy News, there's a second leg to this conversation. Parliament has shut down for some 3 weeks. They've recorded some COVID-19 positive cases. In the chamber itself, out of the 275, they've got 17 positive cases. But the staff, the general staff of Parliament, they have over 150 cases. But before we get there, we want to bring you a conversation with the First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who also chairs the vetting committee that will be doing the vetting later today.
Well, at the committee level, we try to consider and use some arrangements, which are the ministries that are in urgent need of a minister. Now, there's pressure on us to rearrange and bring the education minister because of COVID-related issues in schools and so on. You know, so I'm going to consult my ranking member and discuss if we can rearrange to bring the education minister on the first day as well. You know, but that's how we did our arrangement. Looked at national security. Now this is COVID period. Minister of Health is important. Then we consider education and so on. And then after that, we come members of parliament, seniority, and so on. Yeah.
So when that consultation be done to ensure whether they're going to rearrange together?
Today. We are in talks every day. The leadership of the committees discuss matters as they come up.
So it's likely the education minister will appear before the committee tomorrow?
Well, I have to, because we've put out
the schedule already?
A schedule already. Yeah. Changing and rechanging involved persons and their programs. So first, if I get the consent of my colleagues, then we'll talk to the ministers. Because of COVID also, we're looking at not staying too long. And so we originally decided we'll do 2 a day. But looks like that may take too long for government to be able to get its team to work. So we are reviewing some of the stunts. But in Parliament, we don't take unilateral decisions. We always make sure you get your other groups, other sides along with you.
I see. Normally, I see a lot of people supporting their candidate or their nominee. In area of COVID, are we still going to expect them, or there will be a cut-off point?
You recall that even last Parliament, the Speaker directed that no more than 5 people, and I had the responsibility to enforce that. I went through hell. Some of my colleagues did not agree with me, but once the rule had been made by Parliament, I go by it. I got into trouble with people reporting left and right that I'm frustrating their supporters and chiefs and so on, you know. But this time we're going to be very strict, very, very strict. First, already Parliament itself, we have challenges.
Right.
And so even the press, we are restricting it to just the one who can take the feed and share with others.
I see.
Yes, because as much as possible, we want to reduce the risk to members and to visitors.
So, like, how many persons are you talking about here for a candidate?
Well, we expect the candidate to come alone to the chamber. We originally announced 5, but it may not be possible in view of the escalation of the challenges we have in Parliament. We may even reduce that at best, a candidate and a spouse.
All right, so the Bekwai MP, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Chairman of Parliament's Appointment Committee, Joseph Osei-Wusu there speaking to Kwesi Parker-Wilson about the arrangement for the voting today. So now you know how that is going to go. We'll put up a post on Facebook later on. We'll run you through some of the questions that people are hoping that the members, the Appointments Committee members would ask the minister designates that appear before them for the vetting. But another leg of this conversation is the fact that Parliament has essentially closed. They've shut down for 3 weeks following a surge in COVID-19 cases. Let's speak to Dr. Rashid Draman, Executive Director, African Center for Parliamentary Affairs, and also Professor Kwabena Safo-Kantanka, Senior Research Fellow with Odikro. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you and good morning.
Dr. Draman, I know we have an unresolved issue, but that will be dealt with later. I'm grateful that the two of you could join me. I was thinking this morning, really, Parliament itself, in terms of the MPs, they've recorded 17 COVID-19 cases. Does that warrant a closure? I'll start with you, Dr. Draman.
Yes, Mama V. If you remember, I think a few days ago, I said, Parliament should close. And closing, actually, I didn't mean at the time that, the business of Parliament should stop. But we'll come to that. Even if there is one case of COVID, I believe what has happened in the last year in many workplaces, workplaces that are not as big as Parliament, that at any one time it has maybe more than 1,000 people in that space, because there are 275 members, and then there are about 600-700 staff of Parliament, and then you add maybe the media, you add people like us who visit Parliament for different kinds of reasons. So at every one time, there are more than 1,000 people there, and if you have a few members of Parliament and some staff testing positive, I thought that the right thing to have been done is what has been done yesterday, but this should have been done maybe a long time ago. I am surprised that the medical people in Parliament, as well as our medical people in Ghana, have not did not speak about this early enough and urge Parliament. Because some of us were just, we are not medical professionals, but we're just basing our arguments on what has happened in different parliaments and so on. To the extent that some parliaments have lost a number of members in many countries. And we thought that we shouldn't wait until we lose a member of parliament in our country. So I think that was the right thing the Right Honourable Speaker has done.
Okay. I don't know where you stand, Professor Safo-Kantanka. After all, some of the MPs themselves have been very indisciplined.
Thank you very much, and good morning to Dr. Draman. Well, I think that there's little we can say about the closure. Closing Parliament doesn't necessarily mean that the business of Parliament must stop, as Dr. Draman said, because there are other ways the work of Parliament can go on. In terms of going to Parliament physically, yes, you can restrict it in several ways, but we can also make use of technology, as is being done in some parliaments all over the world. As we speak in the UK House of Commons, there are two options. You can participate in parliamentary debate either physically or remotely. In other words, through some other means such as Zoom. Of course, it comes with several other implications. If you go to Australia, for example, they have had to review their standing orders, because some people are also asking questions as to what the standing orders say about the sitting of Parliament and all that. But of course, we also know that Parliament is a master of its own laws, so they can review the standing orders and say that, well, now from now on we can conduct business remotely. Some can stay in their homes, and a few of them can come to Parliament, and then discussions can go on, just as we are going to do with the appointment committee, the vetting taking place today. So I think that even though Parliament has closed, around this time I'm expecting the leadership to think about other means of engaging the MPs for parliamentary business. Parliament has closed for 3 weeks. I think that within that 3-week period, there's a lot we can do to discuss other things as to how we can conduct the business of Parliament through some other means.
But Prof, yeah, let me just remain with you and ask, so for the next 3 weeks, how much are we losing? Can we quantify that?
Well, in terms of quantification, I find it very difficult to put a figure on it. But we should know ordinarily, by common sense, we should know that we are losing a lot. So the business of Parliament has come to a halt. Parliament is not doing so much. We have laws to pass. We have engagements. We have several things that Parliament does. For example, in some places, you can always quantify how much you lose, even when you lose 1 minute at a job place. But we don't have that kind of system. So for me, by common sense, we need to understand that within that 3-week period, Parliament may have done so many things, passed some laws, engaged with the executive in terms of speaking to some other arrangements and agreements on what have you. It is going to reduce, for example, the speed at which the appointments committee can work. So within the period in which the ministers are supposed to be engaged, we are going to have that kind of a hit where we cannot engage with them as much as we want. So even though I cannot put a finger on how much we are losing, Mama Vio and I will know that if Parliament is not working for 3 weeks, that means a lot to us as a country.
Dr. Draman, are we not, by shutting Parliament down, we know that COVID-19 is such a serious case, but some of them didn't take it serious. You know, there was the issue of indiscipline. And I was just saying this morning that then we might as well just shut the entire country because many people have tested positive. Dr. Draman, essentially I'm asking, are we not encouraging that indiscipline that some of us exhibited by not isolating and still going into the chamber when they knew they had tested positive? Do I still have...
Yes, indeed. I mean, that was quite disappointing. I mean, the honorable members should know. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes, I can hear you now. Please go on. Apologies there. We just lost Dr. Draman. Dr. Draman, can you hear me? Or we've totally lost you? Okay, we're going to raise him. I want the perspective in terms of what other African countries are doing, managing parliaments and also this pandemic. But Professor Kwabena Safo-Kantanka is still with me. Odikro has done many works or research with the attendance of parliamentarians. Now we have a total closure for 3 weeks. Seriously, even when we expected them to go to parliament, we didn't have many of them showing up. So what work would they be doing now that they're off for 3 weeks, apart from the leadership?
Well, you see, that comes back to the issue of discipline that you asked Dr. Draman about. And let me add my voice to that. And some of us felt so disappointed because this is the leadership of this country. MPs are the leaders of this country, and so we look up to them. People look up to them. And then there are laws. They themselves have passed laws in terms of protocol to handle the COVID-19 pandemic. So if MPs themselves were not listening to the orders of the speaker, and those who had tested positive for COVID-19 were still going to parliament, that was very disappointing. And I thought that if that was how some of them were going to go, then I'll bluntly say that some of them didn't even qualify to go to parliament, because this is the leadership of the country. The second, for me, I consider parliament as the most important arm of the government, because they pass the laws and the judiciary will implement the laws, and then they have a responsibility to oversee the activities of the executive. So they are the most important arm of government. That is what I think. So it was very unfortunate that the MPs had to act this way. Now, this is where we are. The question tells me that we should be surprised that when MPs were asked to stay at home and not come to parliament, they were still coming. Because at a point in time, even when we expected them to be in parliament, they were not. Mm-hmm. And so that is the kind of irony, the very ironical, sarcastic in any way, if you like. And so for me, even when officially they were supposed to be in parliament, they were not going. Now they have 3 weeks to stay away by the orders of the speaker. What do we expect them to do? Hopefully they'll go home and stay at home, and some of them will do their own businesses and all that. And that is why I have suggested that we should be looking at other ways by which parliament can engage its members to do the work of parliament within this 3-week period. So I don't know how much they will be doing at home, unless maybe the leadership decides that from time to time they can recall some of them for pertinent issues to be discussed. For example, if there are issues with COVID-19 and parliament has to take a decision within the next 3 weeks, what do we have to do? The leadership may have to invite some of them to come for discussion. They can do that remotely through some other means such as Zoom. Joy News has been doing a lot of work through Zoom. We are here discussing it, and everybody can hear us. So they can make use of that. But of course, it also comes with some security issues. In the UK, for example, they have designed specific software programs to be able to handle parliamentary business. So you can't just use any other system like that, an open system such as Zoom maybe, because we're also looking at the security issues. And if you're going to invite some other members to parliament to discuss one or two things or on Zoom, you're also looking at the issue of quorum, the standing orders. How many of them can you invite to come and conduct the business of parliament? So all these things will have to be discussed within the few days ahead of us, so that at least they can come back and do the business of parliament. So as a country, we can benefit from that.
Okay. Dr. Draman, hopefully you're back with us. Okay. Unfortunately. All right. Prof, I guess we'll have to leave it here and see how this one goes. We'll be monitoring, what in terms of what they're doing, because some of them can still go back to the constituency and do some constituency work. So maybe we will come back to you in the future and talk some more.
Thank you very much.
All right, great. Professor Kwabena Safo-Kantanka is a senior Research Fellow with Odekro. Sadly, we had Dr. Rashid Rahman with us, but we lost the connection there. But let's go to Facebook, because we put out the questioning in terms of the ministers designated for national security and health who are appearing to be vetted today. And we wanted to know what kind of questions that you want them to answer to. So let's do it on Facebook and let's check out what you've been posting. If we have that, we can go through. Otherwise, I guess it's a wrap. Okay, so Yabua Benjamin, in an answer to the question, what are they going to do differently from what they did in the previous government? You've got a lot of questions. So number 2, are they going to yield to the will, hopes and aspirations of the people, or going to dance to the dictates of the appointing authority, or they're just in to satisfy their personal whims and caprices? That's a lot. What do they suggest should be done to them in case of none or underperformance or dereliction of duty? I like your loaded questions. Really, really important. Wisdom Jeremiah says they should ask Oforiatta all the excessive borrowings. What has he done with the money? He should show us. You have to wait because he's not appearing today. Raymond also has a question for Esla, who is not appearing today. She's created, if she's created any alternative jobs for the workers of the closed media houses. You have to hold on to your question a little bit. Randy says, are they aware some of them are COVID-19 positive? This one says they should ask him COVID-19 relief fund and the tracker. So who will this one be going to? Is it the health minister, or you're still talking about the communications minister? John says all this is a formality. Whatever questions that will be asked wouldn't change anything. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. You can continue to send us messages on our Facebook page, but that's it for this conversation. Thank you for your company. Stay with us. We've got other interactions coming up.
Welcome back. COVID-19 has become our reality. We're living in the midst of a pandemic. Now, legally speaking, how do we deal with this virus to ensure that we remain safe, that we protect our children, that we do the right things to ensure that the spread of the virus is curbed? We're going to explore this discussion from different angles, but especially from the legal angle, as we engage legal brain Samson Ladi Anyenene, who's a lawyer as well as host of Newsfile right here on this network. Samson, if you can hear me, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ben.
Great. So let's hit the nail on the head. In recent times, you've seen what has happened in Parliament. You've had your own concerns with regard to parliamentarians not following the protocols, not getting tested, so to speak, and now Parliament having to shut down for some 3 weeks. We've also seen the court situation, and the court had to get to the point where social distancing and all of that, more stiff protocols were brought to bear. What is your take so far on these institutions and what they've done? Does it suffice?
Well, the big thing to look at now has to do with people who know they have COVID and are deliberately infecting others by still showing up at work, and also employers who don't seem to want to follow what has to be done, protect both those who are infected and those who are not infected, and they themselves, by insisting, as we have heard some of the reports, that their workers, employees, come to work even when they have tested positive. Of course, we have been told that people may also be scared in certain circumstances of the prospects of getting their jobs back if they made disclosures and were asked to stay at home. So we'll deal with the consequences of that. But the specific ones that you have referred to, well, it's very clear. As for Parliament, they haven't been an example for anybody at all to follow. And I have said the same constitution that gives you the right to privacy. You heard the members insisting to the Speaker when the Speaker did announce that they would be naming and shaming those that were infected and were still attending to the House. You heard the lawyers say that they have right to privacy and patient's confidentiality, and therefore the Speaker had no right to put their names out. The Speaker has every right, and I refer to the Article 18 of the Constitution, and it's very clear. The same Constitution that gives you the right is the same Chapter 5. You'll find that it takes away the right for the common good. It takes away an individual's right for the common good and for the protection of people's health, or public health. When it comes to that state, your individual right is relegated to the background. So if you have to comply with the law and you are not complying with the law, the Speaker has every right to have named those people. I think in any other place where people who may be infected and are misconducting themselves, the employers have a right, if they cannot through any other means stop them, to, as it were, name them, if that is what it takes. But the more substantive matter of those who know they have it and are going out infecting others. We passed an EI much earlier, and it is still enforced, that requires isolation and mandatory quarantine and for treatment. If you breach that, you are subject to being punished by law. Now, the problem now is you have a situation where your isolation center may not be available, so people are being asked to, as it were, self-quarantine. The point of law here is, whilst the government by law has a right to take hold of you and imprison you in an isolation center, so to speak, but in the circumstances where there's no space, if a medical officer has asked you to self-isolate and you do not self-isolate because you have tested positive, you are breaking the law as well. And the law says that you could be liable to a fine of 600 Ghana cedis, too small, and then you may also go to jail for 3 months. That's also very, very small. But beyond that, I am thinking that it is time for government, for the president, to look at this again. There's a need for a second look, where if people are not going to report those who are spreading the disease knowingly to the police, so that the police will activate the criminal law, the section that talks about negligently causing harm. If you negligently cause harm to someone, you have committed an offense, and you may get to jail for 3 years. So that is also available. But in the meantime, what the president could do is to bring a new EI that will mimic a law that we have abolished. And that law we have abolished is the Towns Act. The Towns Act is specific in saying that if you have an infectious disease and you go out there in the public place or any other place and infect others knowingly, you are committing an offense and you'll be liable to pay 24,000 Ghana cedis. I believe that it is time for a new EI that will elevate it even beyond the individual, so that if for nothing at all, the punishment for knowingly knowingly still going to work or going out in the public and not isolating when you have tested positive should be actually the penalty that we are giving for not wearing a face mask.
Right.
Where you will pay either 12,000, between 12,000 to 60,000, or go to jail for 4 years or 12 or 10 years. And then also, we should target, the EI should target employers as well. So that if you're an employee and you know that your employer, if you're an employer and you know your employee has tested positive and you don't give them the space to self-isolate, or you yourself compromise and allow them to come to the workplace, you should also suffer the same punishment.
Okay, so Samson,
we may stop this.
Right, just hold it there. And I just want clarity. Did you say the Towns Act? Is that just for specificity? Did you say the Towns Act?
Yes, the Towns Act has now been overridden by the Public Health Act, 2012.
Okay, so
but
basically,
the Towns Act is the act I am saying. If we looked at section 40, 41, 42 thereabouts, we could use the language there, couch a new EI, because that language is specific. It says if you are suffering an infectious disease and you go out there and infect someone else.
And in this instance, it must be a deliberate act.
Yes, it must be deliberate. And,
right.
And the deliberateness or the willfulness is in knowing that you are positive. And knowing that once you are positive, you are required either to be quarantined, which is mandatory, or if the state doesn't have a space to accommodate you because of the current circumstances, isolate or quarantine. If I mentioned in the Public Health Act, section 12 thereabout, if a medical practitioner issues you the instruction and you disobey it because there's no one policing you, you are committing an offense, except that the sanction is too small. There's actually no deterrent to pay 600 Ghana cedis or go to jail for 3 months. And I'm saying we can change all of that, put it in a new EI, which is dedicated to answering the question of this new reckless behavior of people who know they are positive and yet are not isolating, are not in quarantine, and clearly are infecting others. We have heard stories that are harrowing, stories that are very disturbing, where people have infected others, including one that we have heard about, a pregnant woman who had to be delivered early because a colleague at work, recklessly has infected that person.
Very sad incident there. But if I understand you properly, then retroactively or retrospectively, though I know the law likely wouldn't be applied in that way, then we could say, for example, that the actions of Carlos Ahinkra sometime last year when he stepped out during the electoral period, that would fall into the category you speak of, wouldn't it?
In Carlos Ahinkra's situation, there were places of quarantine, and he actually was supposed to be in the faith. And so once he moved out, he had breached that provision, and he was liable if we were serious about it and had pursued him. There's no retroactivity, and there is no, as we say, no time lapse on crime. Crime is crime today, will be crime in the next 100, and it can be prosecuted. It's not like other offenses that have limitation after a certain period. If you don't take the matter on, then it dies and you have lost the opportunity.
Would that extend to the actions of members of parliament who suspected or knew they were positive and yet still attended to the business of the House?
Exactly, it does. The EI 62, 3 or 4 was very clear that once you test positive, there ought to be isolation, quarantine, treatment. But we know we have a problem now because you may not have a place where the state will put you in prison you and take care of the situation. That's why we say self-quarantine, self-isolate, so to speak. Anybody who has tested positive is told and is aware. Nobody can claim they are unaware that once they test positive, they are supposed to isolate and go into treatment. And they know that once you go out, step out in the public, you clearly will be infecting other people. So that is what I say. We need special EI focusing on that issue to take care of it. And the president can do it 1 minute. Just get his professionals to draft the thing and he signs it. And it becomes law. And it is punishable under the Imposition of Restrictions Act, which punishes with 12,000 to 60,000 and 4 years to 10 years imprisonment. That would be a good deterrent. Of course, there is also the opportunity for people to either report to the police if they know that they have actually been infected by somebody else, so that the police can take up an action generally under our general criminal law under negligently causing harm, which can attract up to 3 years.
Okay.
The people could also, on their own, take up a civil suit. But of course, that comes with expense. That comes with cost.
Right.
You don't want, at this time, to be saddling people with...
Let me delve into the punitive measures with you, especially for organizations who know that some of their staff have actually turned out positive. I pose that question. I bring us back to it because I know a lot of people who keep telling me, oh, there was a random check, and then we found out that, you know, X number of people were positive. And sometimes some people are asked to go home. Sometimes all of them are asked to go home. But what sort of punitive measures do you feel should apply to such organizations as a deterrent?
Yes, so I'm saying we clearly need to take care of that situation. And it can't be taken care of by the stroke of the pen of the president in the creation of an EI that makes provision for it. And it's so
yes, but I'm asking specifically, when it comes to the individual level, we know what applies, you know, the fines and all of that. I'm asking, in terms of organizations, what are your suggestions? What would you proffer by way of punitive measures so they can actually feel the effect?
Yes, exactly my point. That you don't only punish the individual, but let the punishment extend to the organization, so that an employer, an EI will say, an employer who knows an employee has tested positive and still allows them or permits them onto the premises of work, or disallows them from taking time off to self-isolate or go into treatment, is equally guilty. So you punish the employer as well. If we did it that way, we will have, you know, a sort of a two-pronged approach to dealing with the reckless behavior. This is insane. This is heartless.
Right.
It's so wrong that you have tested positive and you don't want to stay away and protect others.
Okay. Samson, I want to wrap up with you with regard to what transpired in the Supreme Court yesterday and what you're looking forward to come tomorrow. But before that, if you were consulted on what you are proffering now by way of a new EI with regard to the measures to curb the coronavirus, would you be willing to actually allow your brains to be picked? I just want a yes or no answer on that.
The thing you need about it is that this is science. So once you have the people in the field with the expertise who can tell you the specifics as to where we are and what the specific measures that are required to be taken. Of course, people with legal training can reduce...
If you were contacted, Samson, that you are espousing this on national television, would you be able to assist us? What would your answer be, yes or no?
Oh, of course. That's
all right.
very
Thank you for that clarity. Now, finally, going back to what transpired yesterday in the Supreme Court and moving forward, what is your thinking, you know, about what transpired yesterday? A lot of heckling, a lot of, you know, exchanges between Chachuchi Kata and, the lead counsel, so to speak, yesterday for the petitioner and indeed the members of the bench. What did you make of yesterday's happenings and what are expectations ahead of tomorrow? Very briefly, Samson.
Right. So I go to court every day. I see these exchanges go on. So for those who perhaps are not used to the courtroom and what happens there, they may see things as new and strange, but I don't see anything strange. I don't see anything new. But the substantive issue is that tomorrow the court will deliver its ruling, which ruling may change the status quo. Chachuchi Kata came up against the status quo yesterday, and therefore he had quite a hurdle because by law you don't compel a witness who elects not to adduce evidence to support their case to get into the witness box. In fact, in the ordinary circumstance, you will rather be excited, you will take advantage of that situation, and perhaps take steps, including asking that things that person may have filed should be struck out. Or, as has been, you have heard repeated over and again, that the witness statement that she brought be put in as hearsay. When your evidence is put in as hearsay, the value is so diminished that using it in determining the strength of your case becomes very terrible. But I say the biggest question that has to be asked at this point is not whether or not a witness should be called to get into the box to be cross-examined, either by the court itself or the petitioner. The question is, supposing, and in fact, the court has power under our Courts Act and under our Evidence Act to, on its own, decide that a witness will get into the witness box to speak. But the question is now, what is that witness coming to do? What is it that has become necessary for that witness to get into the box to do? That without which the court cannot make a decision. That is the question. And the ultimate question in the process is, has the petitioner established that the second respondent and the petitioner himself didn't cross the more than 50% threshold? That is the ultimate question. If they have established so in their document, why should another person be called to testify? There will be no need for it.
Right.
And if you need another person to get into the box, who is not your witness, to be able to establish that point, then it does seem to me you have failed from the outset.
Well, this is where we're going to have to wrap it up, Samson. Thank you very much for joining us. Lawyer Samson Ladi Anyenene. Tomorrow, the bench will decide. And the conversation, of course, continues. But coming up next on the show, we talk to you about enhancing men's health the Phytotech way. What is Phytotech? Stay tuned and find out.
So that scientifically we'll be able to produce medicine so that everybody will appreciate what he or she is taking. So in that case, we have a product that you know the milligrams that you are actually taking that can give you that healing effect. That is
what not just freestyle.
Exactly.
That is what, you don't even know how much you're consuming. Exactly. You could be endangering your life.
Exactly. So that is what Phytotech actually stands for. Right. That we are producing herbal medicine scientifically. So that is why we have Prostate 60, and then we have the other products that are on the Ghanaian market today.
Okay. Doc, let me come back to you. Now, there's a wide range of products here. I see Demaphyte, antifungal and antibacterial. I see Prostate 60, Zeta Pro. Very quickly, tell us what these herbal drugs that you have, what exactly they do, before we come and talk about Prostate 60 itself.
Well, the other product, Demaphyte, is for fungal skin lesions. When I say fungal skin lesions, infections which are caused by fungi, on the skin. You can use Demaphyte to treat that one. Okay. Zeta Pro, for women who have issues with their menstrual cycle, in terms of menstrual cramps, menstrual pain. and things like that. And also when it comes to omega-Z, we are all talking about, in this COVID era, we are talking about building our immune systems through various ways and means. And we've gone to do a lot of literature review, where we found a lot of data. People have done a lot of work to get their PhDs, and they are sitting on the shelves. We have reviewed those literatures, come out to those compounds or those plants, and we've developed them to help our people. So that's how we also came up with omega-Z, to help build the immunity, the immune system of every individual who wants to take it.
Especially relevant in these times of COVID-19.
Yes.
Right.
To build ourselves.
Right. Is there any you've left out?
No, it's just prostate 60.
So that's all of it. So let's focus now on prostate 60. And there we're talking prostate health in men. Let me just ask you this. Most men think, oh, you need to be very old to start thinking about your prostate. The research shows that now pretty young men are having prostate issues. When should you even start getting concerned about your prostate? Do you wait till something is happening?
No. I mean, we know that from age 40, that is when you begin to get sensitive about your prostate.
From age 40?
Age 40, yes. But then you can start screening yourself, because a lesser percentage, is also known to have issues. I mean, the younger generation also known to have issues with their prostate health. But then, even though they're in the minority, when you hit 40 and upwards, that's where you become a bit worried about. You should be a bit worried about.
Okay. So what exactly does this herbal remedy, prostate 60? I know it comes in 10, capsule blisters, and then 30 packs, and then 30 as well. Today you only have the 10. But what does it really do?
Well, in terms of the way it works, it helps to improve urine flow. It helps to, if the prostate is enlarged, in one way, it helps to shrink it. There's a scientific basis for that, but I don't want to sound too technical. There's a compound which has been isolated, or which we found in one of the plants we use to prepare the product, which has been well researched into by the CSRPM, and that compound is known to work like, if I want to sound today, we say it works like a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. What do I mean by that? That enzyme converts testosterone to its most active form, which also, in one way or the other, with time, the prostate feeds on the testosterone, it gets bigger and bigger. So if you cut down on the activity of that enzyme, one is able to shrink the size of the prostate, to put it crudely. So that is one of the things prostate 60 do. It contains certain plants which have compounds which can do that, which have been proven through various scientific processes. So exactly in summary, that is what prostate 60 does. It helps to shrink the prostate, and it helps to prevent what we call the obstructive symptoms and the irritative symptoms of the prostate.
Wow. So these are your product lines, and of course, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested right now. So how exactly, Ruben, can people get in touch with Phytotech for some of these products, for wholesale, for retail, and maybe individually? How can people go about it?
So if you want our product, you can go to Okanshin, and then any other herbal shops or any other pharmaceutical company or pharmacy or any other retail retail shops that they sell medicine, you'll be able to get prostate 60, omega-Z, Dermaphyte, and then Zitapro over there. And you can equally call us on 024-649-0116. It will be on the screen very soon. 024-649-0116. When you call us, we'll be able to identify some of the shops that you'll be able to also get the product, and then also if you want to source or you want to get more in wholesale too, you'll be able to get that. So we want to tell people that make sure that you go into the shops, make sure that you call us so that we can show you where you can get the product. If you really want the best product on the market, on the Ghanaian market, in terms of herbal medicine, then you should choose Phytotech product, because we are producing medicines scientifically.
Right. And you're one of only 2 in Ghana, right?
Yes.
One of only 2?
Yes.
So that's quite an achievement. I love your motto, though. Healing the nation.
Yes, healing the nations.
With herbal
healing
medicine.
The nations.
Anyway, so reach out to Phytotech. Don't you forget to call that number, 0246-490-116. We've been interacting with Richmond Amo, Dr. Richmond Amo, a clinical pharmacologist, and Ruben Agbo, a herbal medical doctor. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you for having us too.
Up next on the AM show, it's Showbiz with Caddy. Stay.
Good morning, you're welcome to the Showbiz segment right here on the AM show. My name is Kadi Asamoah. Now in 2019, late musician Ebony's father, Mr. Opoku Kwarteng, set up Bonnie to the World record label after the death of his daughter, and Kim Maureen was signed as the first artist. But what's the progress of this deal that is to last for 5 years?
Starboy Kwarteng, as he's widely known, shared more about his relationship with his new artist, Kim Maureen. He, however, seemed to have some issues with her and described his artist as lazy in this interview with Andy Dusty. Watch.
What happened to Kim Maureen?
Well, she's still onto my level anyway. For some time back, I had been away. I was in COVID times and COVID. It wasn't that easy in Europe. And anytime I leave Ghana, that's one thing about that girl. You had an apartment, you had a place, a room at my place there, my apartment.
She lived in your house?
Yes, I gave her one room to live there so that she could be checked. Building some stars, let me say, because I saw this in her. She was just good, honestly. So I decided to get her closer. So that at least I'll be, as a father, I'll be monitoring and stuff. But trust me, anytime I step out to the airport, leaving Ghana, she's leaving home.
To where?
Well, to a place where she used to live before signing on. She wouldn't listen to, anyway, I think I've said enough. It could be news. It's okay. But there's this that I have to discuss with her. You never know.
If she had a place to live, why would she come and live with you in your house?
She did have one, but it was too far. We are talking of Dansman. We are talking of baby Fufrubia and she would need to come.
So living in your house, what was she doing? Did you have a recording studio at home?
No, I don't have that. But at least she will be so concentrated. She will be writing and doing everything. She had a room, calm, quiet, everything intact. So you could be so much, as it were, you get serious on things. Writing and writing, so writing. That's all. You go into the studio, recording and all that. That is your business. That is your business. But believe me, my girl was being lazy. I don't know why.
So, did you ever release any of her songs?
Oh, I did. I did. The one with Ebony and the Crash, the new Crash. I did too. The video. We had Kokrome there, but it's not yet released because the video, everything is intact. But it's still there. Maybe later I will do that.
Did you sign a contract with her?
I did.
For how long?
5 years.
5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Has it expired yet?
No at all. Just a year ago or something.
She signed a contract a year ago?
Yeah. A year and a few months, yeah. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so was she to record or produce albums?
She was to produce her album. Recording is equivalent to producing an album. Yeah, one thing, because from here you gather them and you produce as an album.
Right. So how many albums was she to produce?
Well, she was to get about 7.
7?
Yeah, because she promised she was going to do things fast. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy. Even anybody couldn't do that. But she gave me her word. And I wasn't, honestly, I wasn't enthused the least about what she was telling me. She didn't entice me one bit. But I said, okay, fine, this girl sings well. She has the vim, the energy.
Right.
So let me give you a try. Not necessarily producing albums and coming in, but that wasn't my case anyway. So I didn't take that, but I was doing my best so that at least the Queen's legacy. I did that because it was attached to Her Royal Majesty. That was why you could hear Bonnie to the world.
Okay.
They said Bonnie, and I told her everything, so I was expecting much more from her.